What's up, YouTube? This story time is about how my mom caught me getting tattoos. So this is actually a part 2 to my first story time called I Got My First Tattoo in 8th grade. I'll link it up to the screen above right here in case you haven't seen it. But rolling into this video, I actually had 2 tattoos by the time I was in 9th grade that my mom had no idea about. My sister took me to get both of them. But anyway, this is how I got caught both times. My mom caught me 2 separate times, one time for each tattoo. So the first time she caught me was actually for the second tattoo, which I got on my wrist. It was this one right here. And in 9th grade, I didn't know that if I got a tattoo on my wrist, that while it was healing, my wrist would be swollen and not impossible to use my hand, but it kind of hurt some, so I used my left hand instead. But I'm right-handed. I didn't think that my mom would even pay attention enough to realize I was using my left hand instead of my right, but she did. So one day we're in the kitchen and I open up the refrigerator with my left hand and she doesn't say anything. She probably doesn't even notice or think anything of it. She's talking to me about, whatever she was talking to me about. And she was also making something to eat in the kitchen, as was I. So I began to take everything out of the refrigerator that I'm going to use for my meal with my left hand. She still doesn't say anything, but I can tell now, looking back on it, that that's when she was going, I'm the only left-handed person in this house, so I don't understand why you're using your left hand. You up to something. And she was right. So obviously I had long sleeves on because I was hiding the tattoo. So as I'm making my food, I'm using my left hand as if it was my dominant hand, and I'm barely using the right one. So eventually she just cuts me off in the middle of our conversation and she goes, "What's wrong with your hand?" And I'm like, "What do you mean? What's wrong with my hand?" "Nothing." So she goes, "Well, let me see your hand. There must be something wrong with it because you're not left-handed and you keep using your left hand." And I'm just like, what is it, against the law to use your left hand around here? Like, get off my back, woman. Typical defensive child. So she's like, "Well, let me see your hand. Let me make sure it's okay." So I stick my hand out and I show her. I'm like, "Nothing's wrong with my hand, And she flips it over. And then she touches it. So I'm trying to, be still or not be jumpy for her to know, like, don't touch my tattoo. But she touches it and she slightly pulls my sleeve up because she's just trying to get a good look at my hand. But of course, when she pulls it up, she sees the tattoo and she's like, "What is this? How did you get a tattoo? What the heck? Are you kidding me? Is this real? Who even took you to get a tattoo?" And I think I was maybe 14. I don't know how old you are in the 9th grade, but I'm obviously way below the age to get a tattoo legally. So I go into panic mode. And I'm like, Drea took me. Completely threw my sister under the bus right away. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm sorry, Drea, but you took me. So kind of your fault. So I tell my mom, I'm like, "Drea took me. We got matching tattoos." And she's like, "What?" So she calls my sister up. She's like, "You need to get home. I don't know where you are, but get home. I need to talk to you. Michelle has a tattoo, and she's claiming that you guys have matching tattoos." So my sister comes home, and she completely defends me. She's like, "Yeah, I took her. We do have matching tattoos. She's my little sister. I love her. We got the K's open heart symbol. It symbolized our sisterly love. We didn't think it would be a big deal. Sorry to make you mad, blah, blah, blah." So my mom goes, "Well, let me see yours." So my sister shows her hers. And my mom's like, "Oh, wow, that's actually pretty sweet. I kind of want one too." So my mom feels excluded. She's like, "You guys left me out. You got matching love tattoos and didn't ask me." So now I'm like, oh, I must be off the hook. I guess I'm not in trouble. I actually didn't get in trouble, you guys. My mom actually wasn't mad after that because at that time, she's thinking it's my only tattoo. It's teeny tiny. It's on my wrist. It was a matching tattoo for my sister to symbolize sisterly love. So my mom thought it was okay. She's like, you know what? It's nothing crazy, like not a big deal, you know, but don't get any more. And at this point, Christmas rolls around and my mom actually gets me, my sister, and herself the K's open heart necklace. So now the three of us have these matching necklaces that also match me and my sister's tattoo. So I know I'm in the clear. I'm like, yeah, I'm definitely not in trouble for this, like, at all. Like, I got away with it, and I'll probably get another one, even though she specifically said not to. Okay, now before I could even get a third tattoo, my mom found out about my first tattoo, which was on my lower back. And this is how she found out about this tattoo. A couple months prior to her finding out, I went to New York to visit some family, and I was changing in one of my cousin's bedrooms. But I didn't realize that my cousin had walked in on me and saw my tattoo. Because I guess when she walked in, she saw me naked or whatever, and she backed out of the room or, you know, turned around or whatever. Or maybe she turned around because she saw the tattoo and she was like, ooh, and left out. I had no idea Kimberly, I'm just going to, you know, put out there, Kimberly saw my tattoo. So I'm not sure when she told my mom, but it couldn't have been right away because my mom would have said something to me. So I remember being home one day, back at my house, and my mom calls me into we had like a screened in back porch or whatever. Mom like calls me out there. She's out there with one of her friends, and she's like, oh, so you have a tattoo? And I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, so you have a tattoo. But I knew she wasn't talking about the open heart one on my wrist because she already knew about it, and we cleared that, like, you know, it's all good for me to have that tattoo. She's like, yeah, I know you have a tattoo. Show me. Kimberly told me about it. So I'm like, damn, Kim, you snitch. It's all good. Kim is able to snitch because she was an adult and I wasn't, and you know, she's helping a kid stay in a kid's place, so I can't even hate on that, whatever. So I'm like saying to my mom, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't have this tattoo you're talking about, like, you know, and her friend is there, so I'm also like not trying to get cursed out in front of her friend. So mom's like, just show me. I know you have it. Kimberly told me. Show me, show me, show me. So Kay's like, my mom's friend, don't mean to say her name. My mom's friend is like, yeah, like, let's see it, girl, with, like, you know, whatever. If you have it, let's see it. So my mom's like pressuring me, and I'm just like, okay. So I show them my tattoo on my lower back. And surprisingly, my mom was not upset. She's just like, oh, you know, I don't know why you would get that, but okay, whatever. Like, you got a tattoo, blah, blah, blah. Totally got away with it that time. Wasn't even mad in the slightest. And of course, after that, it was free reign. I'm like, oh, I have 2 tattoos that my mom knows about. By this time, I think 10th grade is about to start or whatever. It's like going into the summer for 10th grade. And I'm like amped up now. I'm like, oh, I'm going to get all these tattoos. You know, what is she going to do about it? Nothing. And long story short, yeah, I got a whole bunch of tattoos. I ended up graduating high school with maybe 10 to like 12 tattoos that my mom was totally okay with all of them. I didn't have to hide it anymore from her. And she actually took me to the shop a few times to get some tattoos and also piercings for like my ears and my belly button and stuff. So my mom was actually pretty cool when I was growing up. She let me express myself because I look at tattoos as a form of artwork. And yeah, she let me be me. She didn't really like put a tight chokehold on me and say like, oh, you're going to regret getting these, or, you know, think about how you're going to look when you're older. But she did kind of tell me like, hey, you know, don't get too many, because, you know, one day you're going to get married. You're not going to want these on your wedding day, or like, don't get your hands, don't get your neck, like you're going to want to get a job. So she did kind of like keep me guided in the right path with tattoos, at least I'll say. So yeah, that's the story of how I got caught and how my mom was totally cool with it. And I also explained in the last story time, the me getting tattoos in 8th grade, that I don't think my dad knew that I had tattoos so young. Which I was correct. After he watched the video, he did call me and he did say that he had no idea. So shout out to my mom for not being a snitch. You're a real MVP. But I don't think my dad would have even been mad about it. I think he would have been like, oh, you're silly. I don't know why you would do something as dumb as that. But yeah, so totally got away with getting tattoos. It was not a big deal. Definitely swept under the rug. And thanks, Mom, for not being a snitch. Also, I want to point out to you guys that in this video, I'm wearing a nameplate necklace. It says Henix on it. It's from Soul Free. I have a discount. Here's my discount code. I'll put it on the screen. You guys, there's all kind of jewelry on that website. Rings, watches, bracelets, earrings, everything you can think of. All types of beautiful, beautiful jewelry. So go ahead and shop till you drop.